Hey people, some people call this recycling. I call it repurposing. Today we're going to turn an old C hard drive from a desktop computer into an external storage device. So rather than pay, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks or whatever for a large thumb drive or an external storage. This is, drives that I already had. I had 3 old computers sitting around the house. Oh, someday I'll get pictures off them and all this kind of stuff. None of them failed because of the drive. 2 of them still worked, and the third one started beeping when you turn it on, and I had taken it into the shop before I replaced it, and the guy said it wasn't worth fixing because of whatever the problem was, which I can't remember. So anyway, all the drives are good. So there's a couple of things you have to know before you go on Amazon and order a drive enclosure. And this video is partly for people on Amazon. I haven't done this before, but we're going to see what it's like to open the box and take this thing out and put one of these drives in there. There's 2 different systems that drives communicate with the computer: SATA and PATA, also known as IDE. So IDE and PATA are the same thing. They're the older models, and this is one of them. And you can very easily identify them. Sometimes they say on them what they are, sometimes they don't. So you look at the connection here, and you'll see this long strip of pins. If you look at it from this direction, you don't see the pins at all. This one is also IDE. Old computer, row of pins, little plugs on the side. From this direction you don't see anything. This is from the most recent computer that I dismantled yesterday. Hold it in the same way, and you see these kind of like L-shaped things here. And when you hold it this way, tilt it up, then you can see the connectors. So this is SATA. So these first 2 here are compatible with each other and with the enclosure that I bought. And this one's not. This one I have to get a separate enclosure for this one. So this one we'll set on the side because we're not going to deal with it now at all. Now, here's the product. As a disclaimer these days, the way things are on the internet, I got to tell you that, nobody sent this to me or anything like that. This is something I researched on Amazon, and I chose this one for $19.95. And they do come cheaper and they come more expensive. But this is, the one I needed, and the reviews didn't have too many 1-star, which is something that I look for. A couple of 1-star I can live with. When they have too many, it kind of indicates to me that it's something I don't want to mess with. So I look to like 80% between 4 and 5 stars, and then smaller numbers for the bottom 3. So this number here is very important, the 3.5. 3.5 indicates that it comes from a desktop computer. If you see a 2.5, it indicates the smaller drive from a laptop. And those 2 are not compatible, so you need a separate enclosure for a 3.5 and a separate enclosure for a 2.5. And the other difference we discuss is the IDE. We're going from IED to USB, and we're going to plug it in just like an external, one of the drives that you'd pay big bucks for. But all I paid is $19.95 for this piece. So I'll start the unboxing here. It's still factory wrapped. And I read on Amazon when I was reviewing other people's experience that they complained that it doesn't come with instructions, and they couldn't figure out how to put it together, and all these sorts of complaints. So if that's what the ones were about, I didn't mind too much because I had no problem doing my homework and finding out what I was doing before I ordered the thing. I'll give you a look at the model number now that it's out of the reflective plastic. That's RX315-AT-IU, and then BLKXLV is the codes for the color, so that's not important. You're looking for the more important things. Now, how's this baby open? Looks like we have more than one page of instructions. Well, not very much for instructions, but that's it. That would be it. Another page. You know how that is, guys like us don't read instructions anyway. Here's the device itself. Oops. Maybe we should read instructions sometimes, but we didn't this time. Then we have a lot of packaging is what we have. And in here we have USB to the, I assume this is going to go to the product, that little square thing. We have the power supply. Some of these are driven by the computer over the USB, but most of them aren't, so I had to break down and go for this one that needs the external power. And we have, we have an empty bag. That fell off the lamp, that's not part of this. We have something. Maybe we'll read the instructions after all. And then we have the screws. I don't know if they give you any extras. 4, 6, probably not. And that's all we have in the box. I'll be back in a minute. I am going to review the instructions first. Okay, people, I checked the instructions, and this is really as straightforward as it looks. Take this one here and stick these pins into stick these holes onto these pins. And this side, now this is a little tricky because it could go in either direction. There's four receiving holes and there's 4 pins in there. So I'm going to assume, because it doesn't say, that it goes on in the direction it's set to go in, like that. Push it in tight. That's tight. Maybe not tight enough. Seems to be as tight as it wants to go, and that's sitting tight. I know you have to get these things to go in the box now. Now the first thing you do is there's holes on the side here that are going to get screwed to the case. So the holes are on the bottom. So we'll go in this way with this part facing me. Now we got to put some screws. We put screws here, 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 and here, and somewhere else. Now what the instructions are saying to do is screw it, I don't know if you'll be able to, is screw it to the tray over there. And anyway, this doesn't have holes there. See, that doesn't have a hole underneath it. This side does, apparently. Right there and there. So this I can do, I guess I can screw it onto one side and hope for the best. I don't have a magnetic screwdriver, so I put a neodymium magnet on there, so now I have a magnetic screwdriver. I also keep, when I'm working with small screws like this, I stick them on a magnet so that they don't go rolling all over the desk. So let's see if we can get that to go in there. Screwed that side in, and this side there's just nothing to screw to, so I can't do it. So next is to line these holes up to the inside of the case. Oops. Neodymium magnets are very powerful. If you haven't noticed, now I lost my magnet. Very powerful. No, backwards. Looks like it only wants to go one way, which is kind of a good thing. Get all the wires in there. Now, looks like it's got a little on and off switch here, and that's where that square cable plugs into. Let's get these screws in here. I'll make sure they fit, and then you don't have to watch all this. But after all that screwing around, I had enough, so I brought out the heavy artillery. Yeah, that's the way to drive a screw. And I got them in there. Maybe the drive was too old to want to take the screws where they're supposed to go, but these are in there, and that one's in there, nice and flush. So it ain't going anywhere, so we're fine. I'll be back to you when I get over to the computer. Let's see first how this plugs in. Here's the square one coming. There's a little white thing in there that, see that there? You would, from the inside, you'd think it was protective and it was supposed to come out, but it's in there pretty tight. Now I'm checking this thing out. It looks kind of the same from both directions, this way and that way. Yeah, it goes in there real easy. And then we have a power cord. I'll have to find a plug for this over by the computer. So this is the study computer. So it's the one that I just replaced, but as I said, it runs. It has malware on it, so I gotta be really careful when I haven't been able to get it off with Komodo or anything else. So that sticks in there, and that's in there, and we'll go over to the computer and see what it looks like after the thing boots up in a half hour, however long it's going to take today. Hey people, it's the next day. Let me bring you up to date on what happened yesterday. I had the first drive, the really old one from 1999, 2000, whatever. I put it in there, and I deleted the part where I was screwing around with it, literally screwing, because it was so boring. You couldn't stand to watch it. I couldn't stand to watch it on the edit, so I took that away. So during all that process, this part here, the ribbon part, became a little bit loose. So when I plugged it in, I couldn't, none of the computers, I have a computer and the old one, and the old lady has a laptop, and none of them could find the thing. So finally I said, maybe the connection's loose, and sure enough, that's what happened. So I took the old one apart, put it back together, the computers found it, and I put it on, you know, I used it, I looked at the pictures and pulled the stuff off it that I wanted. So now I'm putting in this one here. This is also IDE, but it's not as old. You can see here it has the screws, the screw hole here and the screw hole here where they're supposed to be. So this one I'll be able to screw in properly. So we put this up here. Put the ribbon in there. This is where the problem was one side was up and one side was not all the way in. Put this one in. Now it looks, this is how I was able to tell. Oops, sorry, don't give you a headache. This is how I was able to tell here, because where you see the white band, it was higher on one side than the other. And I knew right away what happened. All right. Now the camera on the wrong side of me is a pain to try and see the viewfinder, so just hang in. I'll try to get these screw holes lined up, and that looks pretty close. So we're going to put screws in these and then put it in the case. And the screw hole down here is going to match the screw hole here. And this thing that I had no idea what it was turned out to be nothing but the base. Holds it to stand up nice. Not bad at all. And you have to operate this thing where there's plenty of ventilation, because there are no ventilation holes in it. So you don't want it to get too hot, but this is made of aluminum specifically so that it'll dissipate the heat. Alright, I'll screw this together and get it out. I'll see you back at the computer in a minute. Okay people, I'm going to bring you up to date one last time, and then that's going to be it. I just screwed this newer drive into the enclosure, plugged it in here. I figured I'd test it before I came back to the camera, and it didn't work. So I unscrewed the whole thing, took it out, and unscrewed the connections from the drive itself. I can show you that in a minute. Anyway, and then I pushed the thing in again, and it's, well, let's see what happens. Watch right down here. This is where it's going to show up. I just turned it on. I don't know if you can hear it. It's very quiet. Or maybe not. Hello? That wants to share the drop box. And there it is in the meantime. Pretty full, as you can see. There's everything that's on that drive. So I didn't lose any data. Anything you can't run programs off here, but you can get back all your pictures and whatever else is on here. As long as this isn't the reason, as long as the drive isn't the reason why the computer failed, you can salvage your data this way, as long as the drive itself is still in good shape. So I ordered today, it's coming today, a floppy a floppy disk drive. An external floppy A, because I still have a lot of them. I want to get all my A's copied and dispose of them. So that thing was like, I don't know, 14, less than 20. So I can use that as often as I need, and you'd be surprised how few pictures 144 megs holds these days. So I probably won't do a video about that unless something's interesting. It's supposed to be plug and play, and you plug it into USB, and I'll just copy all the pictures I saved to floppies over onto this one. And I'll be back in the modern world. I'll put some of them on CD-ROM, and that'll be it for a while. Even though nothing's eternal, they'll last me for a while, at least the rest of my watch, I guess. So I'm going to see what I can do about putting this thing back in the case and not screwing it in too tight so that I don't lose my connection. And that's all I can do. I don't know. There she is. I'll turn it off again. It's turned off, and I'll turn it back on again. See if the system discovers it. It's under there. It comes on, it loads Dropbox at the same time, but the system finds it. So that's the end of this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope it was helpful in some kind of way. It's really not a difficult process, especially if your drives aren't as old as the ones I'm trying to restore. It'll be easier next time. So have a great day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. There's other interesting stuff coming out. I'm going to do some hay bale gardening this summer, and definitely give it a like and share if it helped you out. Thanks a lot. See ya. Okay, people, one more segment. There it is on the screen. Here it is in real life. I put only 2 screws holding it in. I don't plan on beating it up anyway. So the 2 screws I used are on the end up here, down there. And then the screws up here in the top I didn't put in. You know, it just got ridiculous. Okay, have a great day. See ya.